when I resigned, I sent out my email to the company that said I'm good leaving and going to do a company. Danny Lutkus, who's also a boomerang, but he had already boomeranged back when I left. He called me as soon as he got that email and said, dude, why are you doing this? You can do more inside of this company than outside of it. And at the time I was just like, you don't know what you're talking about, but he was totally right.
What happens when you leave a company thinking you'll do more, only to realize the opposite? Check this video out.
I remember Koosh when I was leaving the first time, he's like, you don't get it, Lauren. Our product, our engineering team is better than anything in the whole world. You don't understand. And I was like, Koosh, whatever. And he's like, no, you don't get it. You're going to have to figure this out for yourself. And I remember when I came back and he said, told you so. So I had to learn it all for myself, right? I had to learn what was special about Palantir by leaving it.
I made it roughly 6 months outside of Palantir. I just got so frustrated with like how a normal company operates. Like why does hierarchy matter? Like and why does like process for the sake of process matter? And also these people aren't like smart or interesting at all. And so I made it 6 months. I really missed Palantir.
The way that we solve problems, that Palantir solve problems, has never changed. Like the way it's like a very iterative, bottoms up, like approach to things where we're both like humble and believe that like we don't know shit, but also like we're gonna transform whatever company we're working with.
Isn't it telling that someone had to leave Palantir just to understand how rare it is? Because once you step outside, you realize most companies are bloated with bureaucracy, obsessed with process, hierarchy, and optics over outcomes. Why does hierarchy matter so much when the people at the top aren't necessarily smarter, braver, or more capable? What she's describing is a return to authentic problem solving, where intelligence, humility, and urgency collide. At Palantir, it's not about titles or playbooks. It's about whether you can think clearly, build quickly, and adapt constantly. That's why people miss it when they leave. Not because of perks or prestige, but because they can't unsee the difference. Most organizations optimize for predictability. Palantir optimizes for truth. You're trusted to operate from first principles, even if you're 23 and barely know what you're doing. That sounds reckless until you realize that's how innovation actually happens. And beneath all of it is a mission: solve for real-world impact, not just slide decks. This isn't tech theater, it's transformation, one problem at a time.
There's something about this place that seems to stay like very core to itself and its beliefs, and and we try different things, every few years we try, and then I used to like get really frustrated with this, where like the pendulum would swing from one side and it was like, oh, like it's all, like it's all about like PD and stabilizing product. Now we're going to swing back to just like it's all about like deltas and building with a customer, and then we swinging, it's all about like sales, and then it's swinging back, it's all about and I used to get really frustrated. But now I kind of think, oh, like the swing, like all of that is just it's actually very consistent in some ways, where it's part of the experimentation of this place.
The reason that people boomerang back is the same as the reason that people leave Palantir after like 6 months and hate it and never come back. And it's that we don't follow playbooks. We don't do mentorship. We don't do career progression or anything like that. Everything has to be oriented in first principles thinking. So you are asked as like a 23-year-old straight out of college to just like go figure out what seems right to you in the world, and then go build it, and then test whether that's actually true or not. And nobody tells you how to do it.
This is one of the most honest explanations of what makes Palantir so unique and so polarizing. The pendulum swings she describes aren't signs of confusion or lack of direction. They're intentional recalibrations. Each shift, from product development to customer deployment to sales, is a reflection of the company responding in real time to what matters most in that moment. It's dynamic by design. The through line isn't chaos, it's core beliefs that stay constant even as execution evolves. And then there's the part about rejecting playbooks. That's huge. Palantir doesn't spoon-feed you success. It forces you to think, to decide, and to test your ideas against reality. You're not given a manual, you're given trust, tools, and massive responsibility. That's thrilling for some, terrifying for others. And that's exactly why people either boomerang back with deeper conviction or never want to return. It's not for everyone, but for those wired for ownership and mission-driven impact, there's nothing like it. It's not corporate culture. It's intellectual survival of the fittest, with purpose.
The interesting combination of like weirdness, humor, like smart, anti-authoritarian, like all of this interesting combination of like ingredients in people means that like it feels like I've been going my entire life without actually like having close relationships with people until I came to Palantir. And it feels like I was like, oh my God, this is my tribe.
The DNA of a company really matters.
Palantir has let me be me.
I can start my own business within Palantir.
How much we're committed to like winning above all else.
Extremely bullish on ontology for making LLMs actually useful.
This moment is about more than culture. It's about identity. She's not just working at Palantir, she's becoming herself through it. That's rare. When you bring together brilliant misfits with a mission-first mindset, you create more than a team. You create a movement. It's that combination of humor, weirdness, and extreme competence that gives Palantir its edge. There's no place for bureaucracy when you're surrounded by people who would rather build than posture. What stands out is her ability to launch her own initiatives inside the company. That's not symbolic empowerment. That's real autonomy, backed by trust and expectation. And her bullishness on ontology for LLMs shows the forward momentum baked into Palantir's DNA. They're not chasing trends, they're structuring intelligence. That's how you make AI useful, not just flashy.
You know, Karp and Sham are visionaries. I really believe it.
I appreciate the honesty of people at Palantir.
I think giggling is really important, and Palantir lets you giggle.
For people that like know, they know. And for people that don't know, like you'll never understand, basically.
I don't think there's any other place that can quite compare to this one in terms of like that type of culture.
I feel this close connection with being Palantirian.
This isn't just a job, it's identity. She's describing a culture where honesty, intelligence, and even humor are part of the mission. Palantir doesn't ask you to conform, it challenges you to be fully yourself. When she says if you know, it's because this place operates on a different wavelength. It's not for everyone, and that's exactly the point.